So other elements in a class. As of now is only variable and functions. Variable is called data member, function is called member function. But other than that, what else we have in a class? So one is called constructor. First we'll see that constructor is used for initializing the values to variables, or you can say data members. Initializing means what you understand? Providing the value. Usually what happens, if I have 5 objects, all 5 objects will get this value. Which value? Let me show you. This value. Line number 30 and 31 you see. If I will create 2 objects, 3 objects, 10 objects, how many objects you make? But this value will be globally go to all the objects. Don't you think so? 10,012. Because we have written in the global area, right? In the class area. But I want maybe my object number 1 should get different value and my object number 2 should get different value. Then this is not permissible. Line number 30 and 31. This is also initializing the value only. But I want my object number 1 should get 10,012. My object number 2 should get 20,015, something like that. So in that case, how to do? Again, I will open that Excel sheet. So always memory related understanding we will do here. That's better. So in encapsulation only, somebody says I want to create 2 objects. One object is obj1, another object is obj2. Just like this. Okay. Both are objects only. I will name it as obj1 and obj2. So send data to initialize from main to obj1 and obj2. When I will create obj1 in main, I want to send data for obj1. When I will create obj2 means object 2. In main, of course, these are all happened in main function. I will send data for obj2. That means class is same, but 2 objects, and first object will have different bunch of value. Second object will have different bunch of value. If I want that, maybe this is employee number 1, this is employee number 2, or this is manager number 1, this is manager number 2. Who knows? So if that is the case, then how to use constructor? Let's see. So constructor is like a member function that initializes the values to the variable. So I will do the constructor just like this. Instead of, I don't want to give 10,012 directly here, because if you give directly, then probably every manager, every object will get the same value. But I don't want that. I want something like this. Public. Why public? Because I want to give the accessibility of this constructor to outside. Then only I can send it from main, right? So while creating the object, I want to send the data to that particular constructor. So public. Remember, constructor name will be same as your class name always. So class name is manager, so constructor name will also be manager. Open bracket, close bracket, and curly bracket, open and close. So this is called a constructor. Constructing the value, so constructor. Constructing the value or initializing the value, both are same. Now, if you want to provide hard-coded value, then simply open bracket, close bracket. If you want to collect it from main, then you have to write it something like this. I want to collect 2 decimal value. So I will write 2 decimal x comma decimal y, just like this. In function also, this kind of parameters are also used in function. So this is just like a function, but void and all will not be applicable here. So public, because I want to give the accessibility of this constructor from main, I will supply the data from main. And two types of constructor we have. One is without argument, just like this. Argument, parameter, both are same. So one is this, one is this. Whenever you want to give hard-coded data means for everybody I want similar data, just like giving it here, right? So giving it here as similar as giving it in first type of constructor, just like this, equal to this and equal to this. This is also fine. If you don't want to give here, you want to give it in the first type of constructor, this is fine. That means using this and using directly here, both are same. But this is having little different meaning. Which one? Second parameter, second constructor. This is called default constructor, which is as similar as directly giving the value here. But this is parameterized constructor, which is bit different than directly giving the value here. So I gave two parameters, assuming that whichever data I need, I will collect it from main function. Then instead of saying directly 10,000, I will say this equal to x and this equal to y. X and y I will collect it from main function. That means I have both the provisions now. Default constructor for directly give the value and parameterized constructor to collect from main and give it or assign it. Give means assign. So if I want to give directly some value, just like here I gave directly, then I have to use this type of constructor, or don't use this type of constructor, directly give it here, no problem, both are same. But if you want to collect it from main and then assign, then this type of constructor is required. So total how many types of constructor? Two types of constructor. We say it as categories. First is default constructor, which is as similar as giving or assigning direct values. Imagine for everybody it is 10 only. For everybody, for every object is 10,000 only. Give it here or give it here, both are same. But for every object it is not really 10,000. Maybe for first object 10,000, for second object 20,000. Then this type of constructor is used. So that is called parameterized constructor. So parameterized constructor is for getting the value from main and assigning the value in different class. So that is the second category. Let me write that here. So parameterized constructor and default constructor. Let's see which is executing when. Which is executing when. We will do both the variety. One is directly assigning, one is collect it from main and assign it. Ultimately, idea is give the value to total income and tax percentage. Whether main is applying or directly we are giving here, that makes difference how? If for everybody it is same total income and for every manager it is same value, then you have to give it directly here. Actually, in our case, current case, this is more appropriate. Which one? First one. because it is income tax of company, right? Total income of the company, tax percentage of the company. This time we are not talking about each manager's total income and income tax or something. So more appropriate here. But if somebody will say, no, this object are not representing whole company, this object is representing each manager, then first manager's income might be different, second manager's income will be different, first manager's tax will be different, second manager's tax also may be different. Depends. So both we will see how to use. Currently line number 9, we don't have any parameter here, not like 23 comma or 23,000 comma 10%. We are not writing like this. We are directly writing open bracket, close bracket. Guys, please be on mute. Priyanka, somebody speaking behind you, please be on mute. Yeah. So in this line, we don't send any parameter, you can see here clearly. Simply open bracket, close bracket. That means default constructor will be automatically called here. So default constructor will be called and assign same value for every object. If I have 2, 3 objects also, it will assign same value. Then I called it, that means OBJ manager will have value called 10,000 and 12 respectively. Suppose I don't want to disturb this area because this was for yesterday's topic, then what I have told you, you can comment it like this also, /**/. Then I will cut this line and use it below. Okay. So for your understanding, suppose here I will write 23rd October. This is 22nd October. So here I will create one object just like this, manager obj1 equal to new manager. So it has seen that whenever you don't pass any parameter and create the object like this, then it will call default constructor automatically. If it is there, if it is not there, it's fine. But if it is there, it will go there. Now, if you are creating one more object like this, obj2, and here you are passing some value in the open bracket, close bracket. I passed 20,000 and something like 11% or 12% or 13%. Okay. So second parameter is percentage of the tax. First one is the total income, because in that sequence we have written it here. If you see, X is for total income, Y is for total percentage. So I will put a breakpoint here and I will put a breakpoint here. In fact, first one is also enough. F10, F10, F10 will go. And using obj1, once I will call the function. Which function? Display total income. And using obj2 also I will call once display total income. Right? obj1, here we will expect the value 10,000, and here we will expect the value 20,000, because unless we will expect something, we cannot cross check our understanding. So I am expecting here 10,000. Why? Because in line number 23 obj1 is created, and line number 23 only it will jump to default constructor, because here also no argument, there also no argument. So it will give 10,000 and 45. It's too much. 15. So 15% of the tax and 10,000 is the income. For what? For object number 1. Assume that this time we are not talking about company income, we are talking about each manager's income. OBJ1 is the first manager, OBJ2 is the second manager. So OBJ1 manager's total income is 10,000, so I called just like this, because that is the default value, 10,000. If nothing extra, then 10,000, something like that, you understand, hard-coded value. But if something other than 10,000, you have to pass it just like this. You have to pass 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever it is. Second parameter 13, that is for the percentage, to calculate the total income minus whatever tax, etc. But this time we are only displaying total income, nothing else. So here I am expecting this line, it should go to function display total income, and display total income is nothing but this function, and here I am displaying total income. So total income for object number 1 will be 10,000, and total income for object number 2 should be 20,000. That is my expectation. Whether it is happening or not, we have to debug and see. So what to do? I have to put a breakpoint in line number 23. Debug it now. F10 I have told you. Have I told you F11 is what? Why F11 is used? Ever told you before? Go to the definition of the function, right? So here also go to the definition of constructor means F11. So in line number 23, I will press F11 because I want to go to the definition of that constructor, which is called in line number 23. So I am pressing F11. See where it goes. I have two constructor. Line number 41 also I have a constructor. Line number 46 also I have a constructor. But why it came to line number 41? Why not line number 46? That means why default constructor it came? Why not to the parameterized constructor? Because we didn't send any parameter. Very simple. So we send simply open bracket close bracket. So it will search where is that open bracket close bracket wala constructor. That is called default constructor. So it came here in line number 41 and then it went inside. This time object will be initialized with 10,000 and 15. Now go ahead. This time pressing F10, F10, F10. So if you go inside OBJ1, you will see 15 and 10,000. That means what it did inside memory? It went to random access memory and it gave 15 and 10,000. Okay, 15 and 10,000. 15 for tax, 10,000 for income. It is not over. Still my cursor is in line number 24. Now I will press again F11. Just to understand, it is going to constructor number 1 or constructor number 2. Constructor will be automatically called, guys, when the object will be created. So press F11 and see where it is going. It is coming to second constructor. Very simple to understand. If it is decimal comma decimal, it will also expect their decimal comma decimal. If it is simply open close, no integer, no decimal, nothing inside the bracket, there also in object creation it will expect no parameter, simply open bracket and close bracket. So that means first parameter called 20,000, second parameter called 13 here. So first parameter x will be 20,000, second parameter y will be 13. Now x is going to total income for object number 2 and y is going to tax percentage. Have a look. So previously total income was 10,000 versus 15. This time 20,000 versus 13. Come again. Okay. One general knowledge. OBJ1 was having 10,000 and 15. OBJ2 is having 20,000 and 13. That means 20,000, 13. This is my diagram. Do you think the second value has overwritten to first value? Second value, that means this 20,000 value, do you think it might have overwrite to first value? No, because two different objects, right? So if you take the mouse to obj1, it will still tell you my value is 15 with 10,000. If you take the mouse to obj2, it will say, hey, you have only just now given 13 and 20,000, so I am holding it. Why should I override the obj1? Both are two different lines. If both are obj1, that is different story. But I created obj1, I created obj2. That means two copy I created to allocate the memory. That's why line number 23 also new keyword, line number 24 also new keyword. New keyword means allocate the memory. So I allocated 2 times memory to the random access memory with 2 boxes or 2 objects. Box I am telling for your understanding, don't say box in front of interviewer. You just say I am holding 2 objects, one is having 13 and 20,000, one is having 15 and 10,000. Now, if I will call the function with the help of object number 1, then obviously 15 and 10,000 will be used. If I will call the function with object number 2, then 13 and 20,000 will be used. Have a look. So I will come here, line number 26, I will call the function, but I will use object number 1 to call the function. So F11. So what do you think? This total income, line number 54, will have how much value? Line number 54, how much value? I called the function with object number 1, obj1. Means which value should be there? 10,000. Absolutely. Very good. It is 10,000. So I displayed it. Why? Because I called the function, that's fine, but which object I use, that matters also. My object number 1 is having 10,000, so it will also use 10,000. Then it displayed it. Now in this line, line number 27, again I will go to the same function. Don't you think? Acha, this time I called the function with the help of object number 2, obj2. So obj2 is having which value? 20,000. So this will be obviously 20,000. So same function, but when I am using obj1, it is saying I will operate with 10,000. And same function, when I will say obj2, then it is saying I will operate with 20,000, because both the objects are having different value. So I justified our understanding. Line number 26 and line number 27, we have written we will expect here 10,000 and we will expect here 20,000. So if I will go to output window, you can see whatever we are planning, it is coming that way only. First line it is coming 10,000, then second line 20,000. So if you want to give little clear messaging, you can do it like this also. Okay, console.writeLine. For first employee or first manager, this, and I will say for second manager, this. Who can help me? If I want to write both in same line, that means I want the sentence for first manager total income is this, for second manager total income is this. Suppose I want to display just like this here in the same line. Currently if I will run it, it will display in 2 lines, isn't it? Let me run it. Console.write instead of console.writeLine. So if I will continue now, it will display below, right? Can you see? For first manager total income is this, for second manager total income this. But if I want to maintain same line, for first manager total income is so and so in the same line. Here also I will say, in another line I will say total income is this. So what I have to do? Where I have to use right line instead of right instead of right line. Line number 26 and line number 29. So here I will say console.write. Here also I will say console.write. But at the beginning of this line, I want new line break. So I will say /n. Alright. And if you want to say small letter total, so that in a sentence suddenly big letter, large capital letter should not come, then you can do it like this. So these are all called formatting the display. So console.write line, /n/t, all these things you can make use of it to format your display. So now it is coming with a proper sentence format, right? For first manager, total income is 10,000. For second manager, total income is 20,000. That is not a big deal. Small letter, capital letter, or same line, different line. Here important is two objects I am creating, but both the objects are not having same value. One object is having first manager's detail, second object is having second manager's detail. So whenever you don't pass any parameter, line number 23, then that constructor will be called which is not having any parameter. Whenever you send some parameter, then that constructor will be called which is having parameter. But yes, if you hear decimal comma decimal, here also you have to pass decimal comma decimal. Integer is welcome because integer can easily store in decimal as per our implicit typecasting, isn't it? If no need to pass 20,000.00, it will say 20,000 is also okay for me. But if you are passing 20,000.00, then don't forget to mention m. But why should I pass? Automatically understand 0.00 na. So integer is allowed in decimal. We have seen it in typecasting also, right? Implicit typecasting. So without writing 0.00, I am able to say 20,000, and that is being captured without any problem in decimal. So today's new thing what we understood is, for a class, not necessarily always we will create only one object. We can create 2 objects, 3 objects, 4 objects. Based on how many managers are there, that many objects also we can create. And if necessary, our constructor will help us to hold different bunch of data for different manager. If you have a third manager, how you will do? You will just create like this. You will say, okay, for third manager, it is something like 25,000. It's fine. OBJ3, 25,000 with 10%. It's fine. That means why this is in gray color and this is in black color? Not yet used. Okay. When I will start using, this will also suddenly come to this color. Okay. So this is not in use. That's why it is kind of light color. Otherwise, yeah, I have created 3 memory allocations. So if I will say obj3 dot this, just like this, I will copy paste once more. If I will say for third manager, total income is obj3 dot this. So nobody is going to overwrite anybody. All 3, obj1, obj2 and obj3 are allocating differently in the random access memory. So now if I will call this, it will say no problem, you have 3 managers, so each manager has different income. Alright, so this is how without overwriting data we can have multiple objects for the same class. Who is helping? Constructor is helping. So constructor are of 2 types. One is default constructor and one is parameterized constructor. There is something called copy constructor also. Let me tell you that copy constructor is coming under the parameterized constructor only, but it's a special case. So I am writing a note and explaining. If a constructor or if a parameterized constructor uses a parameter, one or more parameter of class type. What do you mean? My class name is manager actually. Where is that? This is the class name. If the constructor will not use decimal and all, decimal, integer, character, string, float, decimal, boolean, these are all called primitive data types. If my constructor is not using primitive data types, but it is using a class type, suppose, just like this. Instead of integer, character, string, variable, data type, I will say class type. This is called class type. X, Y, Z, anything. You can give your X also, no problem. I give MGR or M for manager. Possible. Single character, two character, whatever you give. So that's M, which stands for manager, is having the capability to have an object directly as a parameter. That means indirectly saying object as a parameter or class type as a parameter. So if a parameterized constructor uses one or more parameter of class type or object as a parameter, then that is called copy constructor. That means it's not a separate category. It is actually coming under parameterized constructor only. So if somebody asks you how many category of parameter you have constructor, you have to say 2 only. But this is a special note that if a parameterized constructor is having class name itself in the parameter type, so that somebody can directly pass one object instead of passing one parameter, integer, decimal, etc., then that is called copy constructor. So should I say here copy constructor instead of copy constructor? That is a parameterized constructor. That means all copy constructor are definitely parameterized constructor, but all parameterized constructors are not copy constructor. Now how to get the data from this M and give it to total income and all? I have to collect it from M dot total income, and here I will write M dot tax, whatever tax percentage. Now question arises, when we will be using this type of constructor? These two things we understood, when to use, but question arises, when to use this type of constructor? Is there any special case where copy constructor can be used? Remember this parameter, line number 53 I am talking about. Tomorrow suppose it is 20 parameter, x, y, a, b, c, d, like that, 20, 30 parameter. Imagine you are filling a form, in bank you are going and filling a form called account creation form. You know how many data you are filling? Your name, father's name, permanent address, present address, office address, what's not. So 50 parameter you are putting in a form and clicking on submit. Now obviously all 50 parameter will be passed to a constructor because it has to initialize the value. So that time you will be perhaps writing here like comma integer a, comma character b, comma maybe boolean c, comma maybe string x or string k, like that. Maybe 20-30 parameter you are going to use, because all of them they are coming from the same main function. I filled a form there. But I will tell you how the number of parameters are going on increasing in a constructor, the performance will be decreasing. Why? Because it takes the x value from here, 25,000, come here, copies it to x, again goes back, collect this 10, jump here, copies to y, again goes there, collect some other thing, jumps here, copy to a, b, c, and so on. That means if I have 50 parameter here, because I need it, 50 different value I have entered on the screen, then 50 times it is jumping from there to here, there to here, there to here. Okay. So question arises, if already one object is there which is having all those 50 values and same value I want to again pass, then why should I give again a call to this? Can I pass that object already which is already having all those 50 values or 20 values or 30 values? That means my object number 1, no doubt it is having a hard coded value, but my object number 2 and object number 3 is already having different customized value. Suppose second time I want to create one object somewhere here, obj4 I want to create, okay. I want to create object number 4 whose everything is as equal as second manager. Understand the point. I joined today, you joined 15 days back. You have been assigned already 20,013. But your data and my data is equal. But if I will use obj2, then it's a problem. Why? Because name may be different, your employee ID may be different, only income and percentage of tax is same. So obj2 I don't want to use. I want to create one obj4 for another manager, but income and tax is same as second manager. Then I have to copy this obj2 from main to this M. That's why it is called copy constructor. So instead of passing again, one way is, if you don't know copy constructor, then you will do like this: manager obj4 equal to new manager, within bracket you will again give 20,000, 13. Why? Because for new manager also same income and same tax. But for 1 or 2 parameter it's fine. But imagine there are 20 parameter, 30 parameter, so again it will take that much time. That's why what to do in this case, instead of passing 20,000, 13, his department called sales, his company name called ABC Limited, suppose you want to pass 20, 30 parameters again, then instead of that it is suggested you just pass this obj2, because that obj2 is also having same data what you want now for the fourth manager. So what is conclusion now for the copy constructor? If the data to be passed for new object, writing that here, if the data passed to constructor for new object is already existing in some other object, then instead of passing all parameters separated by comma, pass one parameter as object. This will be faster than passing n number of objects, n number of variables or parameters. So n number of parameters. So significance is, I could have done 20,000, 3 also or 13 also, no problem. But I want to say, why should I again pass? Already this is there in the object number 2. Why not I will pass that object number 2 itself, so that all the data will go at a time. Basically I will tell you, for 2 parameter or 3 parameter, this kind of technique is not used. If it is 20, 30, 50, 100, like that parameter, then you can drastically see the difference at least in milliseconds. That case, this type of technique is used. So if you are creating a new object, you want to pass some value, and that value is already existing in some other object, then pass that object as a parameter. Then who will, in this line I said default constructor will be called. In this both line I said your parameterized constructor will be called. In this line which constructor will be called? line number 27. Copy constructor. Because check it out, if I will take the mouse to obj2, it is saying, hey, it is parameter of class type manager. So which constructor is class type manager parameter tell? So here if you see, there are three constructor. Which constructor is manager type constructor? This one. So it will say third constructor is directly holding a manager type object. So no problem, you call it. Now what I will do, I will put a breakpoint and execute again. Again we will cross validate for default. That means when we are not passing anything, default constructor should be called. When we are passing something comma separated, parameterized constructor, normal parameterized constructor will be called. When I am passing one object as a parameter, then parameterized constructor will class type, in other words, copy constructor will be called. So that is our understanding. Now we have to cross validate it, putting a breakpoint somewhere here. So again debugging it. Line number 23, if I will press F11, it should go to default constructor. That is already we have seen it. So let me press F11. Have a look. It came to default constructor. So obj1 value will be 10,000 versus 15. Absolutely fine. We have seen it. Second line 24 F11 came to simple parameterized constructor. Now obj2 got the value called 20,000 comma 13. obj3 F11 25,000 comma 10. That means income is 25,000 and tax is 10. Absolutely fine. But for obj3 I don't have any new data. My plan is obj4 will have same data what your obj2 is having. Then F11, check it out what is happening. Did it come to copy constructor, default constructor or simple parameterized constructor? No, it came to copy constructor. This is also parameterized constructor, but class type as a parameter. So in this M, both the value are sitting. That is important thing. Today it is both the value, tomorrow it may be 100 value. 100 variable means 100 value. So all 100 parameters I can send at a time to this M. So it will not jump once here, once there, once here, once there, once here, once there. One time it will come and copy entire object to this, and you will get both the values in this M. Out of those both the values, I copied total income 20,000 to this and tax percentage of the previous object to the new object. That means after executing these three lines, F10, 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 my object number 4 should get what my object number 2 is having. Have a look. So my object number 2 is also having 13, 20,000. This is also having 13 as tax and 20,000 as income. So if one existing object is having all those values that my new object is expecting, then you should use copy constructor. Rest is up to you which object you want to use and call the function. This time I have not used object number 4. So if I want to use object number 4, then I have to copy it once more and then use object number 4. So fourth manager is having object number 4. This part is not difference. So should I say here we will expect here how much? Here 25,000. Here how much? For object number 4, how much we are expecting? 20,000. Why? Because that object number 2 only passed, na? So 2 manager can have same income also, no issue. That's why we used, instead of passing fresh copy of 20,000 comma 13, I said already my object is holding that, why don't you pass that object at a time? That is performance wise better than previous. So a good developer's practice always, what I will do, somebody can tell me, sir, why unnecessary you are teaching this copy constructor? We are okay with this, sir. At least one chapter will be less for us. We are okay with this. But in that case, you are not a good developer. You know, data will be coming, definitely. Answer will be same only. But we are not a good developer, because in this case, the time, how much it will take, in this case, how much time it will take will be better. Object number 2. Okay, because only one parameter. So number of parameters are increasing, comma, the performance will be decreasing. That's why if it is possible, your already existing object is having all those values, what you want to pass, then better to pass object itself as an argument. So whenever you pass object as an argument, then you use copy constructor. Acha, this class name, I used manager, but not necessarily always it will be same class. If your business requirement is saying some other class name, it is okay. Imagine you have some other class, that class is having those variables and you want to pass again, then it's okay. Any class type. That's why I wrote copy constructor is nothing but parameter as a class type. I didn't say same class type. If a parameterized constructor uses one or more parameter of class type, I didn't say same class type. It can be any class type. So, but okay, what your constructor is using, same class type object, you have to pass from main also. So that is the significance of copy constructor. Now, what you guys understood from these 3 variety of constructor, I want to cross validate. Even 2% you are understanding and able to answer, I will be happy. Okay, so just for a cross check, 2 to 3 people, 2 to 3 questions I will ask. Try to answer what at least you observed from my explanation. Okay, I will ask anybody from the list. First I will ask Michael. Michael, what is default constructor?
Default constructor is where we will not be declaring any variables inside the
Default constructor is that directly assigning the value. Directly assigning the value. Okay, so hard coding the value, that is called hard coding the value or directly assigning the value. Okay, when next question for Nagarjun. Nagarjun, when default constructor is called? Imagine I have so many constructor, parameterized also, copy also, default also. When default constructor will be called? When we create the object without parameters. Okay, you have to tell like this. When we create the object of the same class without sending parameter, then default constructor is called. Okay, good. Next question, Mangesh, for you. When a parameterized constructor is called? Object is having, okay, yeah. So you have to say when we are not okay with the default values, we want to pass some explicit value for the object, then we have to have parameters in the object creation, and that time parameterized constructor is called. Okay. Next question is for Priyanka, for you. Why to use copy constructor? Okay, so that same data will be passed in a single parameter. Okay, instead of n number of parameters, we can pass a single parameter. Performance wise, that is better. That's why you use copy constructor. Very good. So at least you guys are observing what we are discussing. Okay, anybody has any question on top of this? I mean, totally not understood, sir, or nothing coming to my brain, sir. Is there any kind of question like that? Anybody? Because it is easy. Now you just heard everything. If you have piece of doubt also, it is easy to clarify than starting from the scratch again. So anybody has any question mark on the constructor part? If you don't have question, I will ask another question. Anybody? Yeah, yeah. Ha. No, you have to ask this question like this. Object parameters, while creating the object, what parameter we are sending, and in constructor, what parameter we are keeping, is it should be same? That might be your question. Absolutely yes. It is. It should be same. And if when we are not passing any parameter from object creation, then it will search for the default constructor. But if we are passing not only number of parameter, but also data type of the parameter should be also same. That means your target constructor is having string parameter, but we are passing integer parameter. It will say no, I will not take it, right? So number of parameter as well as data type of the parameter, both should be same. Passing area, consuming area. Passing area means main function in our case. Here we passed it, right? Line number 25. So passing parameter, number of parameter, and consuming parameter, number of parameter, both should be same. First thing. Data type also should be same. Here I have decimal, there I am passing something called, something like within double quote 20,000. So within double quote 20,000 means what happened actually? This 20,000 become a string, right? So it will say no, I will not take it because my target constructor is having decimal. You are passing string, I will not take it unless you typecast it. So both should be same. Number of parameter as well as data type of the parameter should be same. Yeah, everything, whatever you have understood, like null parameter, optional parameter, default parameter, anything, but it should be both same. Okay, if here we are passing one null parameter, there also should be null parameter, like that. Okay, all right. Anybody else? Syntax is always same as class name, first of all. Okay, same as class name. Second thing, public is used because we want to access it outside the class. If I will make it private, what will happen? It will say, hey, your constructor itself is private. How I will pass the value? How I will call that constructor? So where you are expecting one error by making it private? Which line? Default constructor line. This line. Can you see line number 23 is showing one error? It will say your constructor is having private. How can I call it? Okay, so that's why we made public. Nothing written means private, Nothing is written means private. So syntax is start with public because you want to call it outside the class, and same as class name, and this open bracket, close bracket, depending upon whether you have parameter or whether you don't have parameter. If you have parameter, then give those parameter. If you don't have, at least open and close brackets. Okay. Now my question. Imagine I don't have any constructor here. Totally I have nothing here. Control X. Okay. Mostly in interviews people ask it. Try to answer it, whether if anybody knows. I don't have any constructor defined from my side. Okay. No doubt parameterized constructor is not there. So this will not, it will show error. Line number 24, line number 25, line number 27, it will showing error. Why it is not showing error in line number 23, bhai? But I don't have default constructor here. Still why it? Just like this. Just like this. Fine. But still it will search for a constructor definitely. Remember. It will search for a constructor. Anytime you are creating object means it will definitely search for a constructor. Now when it search for a constructor, it say that in this line simply open bracket and close bracket. Okay. Which line? Line number 23. It will go there also. Where it will go? It will go to manager class also. And it will see there is no constructor. What to do now? Where I will get the value? Your .NET framework automatically maintains a constructor. Remember, the moment you create a class. So default constructor automatically gets created by the .NET framework. But what value it will give for total income and tax percentage? 00, because it is decimal. Integer, decimal, all these things it will give 0. If it is date time, it will give 1st January 001. If it is boolean, it will give false. So there is a default constructor already available in .NET framework, as long as we are not doing anything from our own. That's why this will not show any error. Okay, so Control Z I will say. So if there is no constructor available in a class, still there is a default constructor. So what they will do, they will draw something like this without any constructor. In interview, they will say, can you please tell me how many constructor has been used in this class? If you are saying 0 constructor, you are wrong. You have to say 1 constructor is there still. Which one? The .NET framework automatically assigns one default constructor when a class is getting created, and it will assign the value not 10,000, not 20,000, nothing. It will give automatically 0 and 0. So this line, it will not show error even if you don't have a constructor. But parameterized constructor is totally our own constructor. That's why you have to have, otherwise you cannot call this like this. But default constructor you are not creating also. By default, your .NET framework will create it. So go through it. If you have any more questions, next class you can get clarified. So we will see tomorrow same time, guys.